Welcome to my kitchen. I have been wanting to do this makeover since the moment we stepped foot and saw this house for the very first time, which was really only a couple of months ago. But of course it had to be my first project here in the new house. And thanks so much to Beyond Paint for sponsoring today's video. I would not be painting kitchen cabinets without this wonderful product. I have painted several kitchens and bathrooms with Beyond Paint, and I tell you, it's a crazy product because it does not require sanding or stripping or a top coat, which is absolutely crazy because I feel like that's one main thing that deters a lot of people from wanting to tackle this project on your own. Well, I'm gonna show you a very budget-friendly and, dare I say, easy way to change the look of your kitchen on a budget and very, very quickly. So let's dive in. And I do want to note that this for me is a temporary makeover because the plans for this house is to make it over like one room at a time. But of course we just moved in and we kind of need to save up for those types of bigger projects. My dream would actually be to gut this whole kitchen, change around a little bit and make it our own, make it way more updated and modern. But in the meantime, I cannot stand these oak cabinets much longer. So that is why I'm choosing to do a temporary makeover that may last a year, 2, even 3, but yet it's still going to make me a lot more happy when I'm in here cooking or we're having family time and things like that. So keep that in the back of your mind, but also this would be a great way to update your cabinets even if it is longer term. I will also say that my goal for this project is to kind of disrupt our living arrangements as little as possible. So I'm going to be leaving everything inside the cabinets as well as on top of the countertops and just moving it as I go along. I've used this product enough that I do know that it's going to be totally okay to have these things out. So keep that in mind if you're also maybe have kids and things like that and you don't want to disrupt your whole living space for days. So the first thing that I'm going to go ahead and do is start to remove all of the cabinet doors. So you're going to want some type of drill or electric screwdriver. I've got my Fantic electric screwdriver and I've got the Phillips head. You're just going to want to match whichever like screw head that you have on your cabinets, obviously, to your screwdriver. And then we are going to start by unscrewing the hinge that sits on the actual cabinet. Then we'll bring the door down and unclip or unscrew all of the hinges. Now, every single hinge is different. I'm choosing to leave my hinges or to like use them again. If you want a different color hinge, you're just gonna need to make sure that you've got like, you can find the exact hinge unless you want to make new hinge holes and stuff like that. I find that it's much easier to just either use the same hinges that you used before, or if you want to replace the color, get the exact same one. And then just like that, we got door 1 off. And with that, I am going to say one of the most important parts: label the spaces where your doors and drawers came from. That way you know exactly where to put them back. Some doors especially look like they are the size that may fit there or may go on this way or that way, but you just want to make sure that you're putting them back in the exact same spot. I like to use painter's tape and just mark on the inside here. I'm not going to be painting the insides of the cabinets at all. I am just going to be painting the outsides. So I'm just gonna label like so, and then I'll label my door 1, and I'll show you where that is a good label, where a good label place is for that, so that you won't paint over it and you'll be able to put it right back where it was. So once I've got the door off, I'm going to take these hinges off, and then this is right where I am going to mark where this cabinet door goes because I won't need to paint where this hinge is going to be. And especially because I'm rolling and brushing on this paint, I don't run the risk of painting over this. So we've got a 1 here. And then I would also recommend, if you are using the same hinges again, just for ease of putting everything back, to label your hinges as well. I know it's even more tedious, but trust me, it's going to help you in the long run. It's important to keep all of the hardware together. So that's gonna be 1. With my tape, I'm just gonna put T1 for top 1, and then bottom 1, B1 for bottom 1. And then I'm even going to get a baggie for all of the screws, so that way I do not lose them at all. And I think I already lost 1 screw when I was taking it off, so I'll need to find that too. But this door is now labeled. The last thing I need to do, that I'll probably do before I take the actual doors off from now on, is to remove these pieces of hardware. Side note, I think I determined that originally these doors did not have hardware and these were added after the fact, because most of the cabinet, all of the cabinets have these little like hand grooves that I think you just opened like this prior, and so that's kind of interesting that they eventually decided to add on the hardware. I am choosing to just leave the same hardware hole placement and use the same style or the same size handles. If you find handles that you love or you want to go to knobs, you can always fill these holes and then sand them smooth, and since you'll be painting over it, it won't be that big of a deal. Because you won't be able to see those, and then you could drill new holes. That's always another option there. But I am going to be getting rid of this hardware and changing it out with some hardware that I like a little bit better. You may have noticed, so I can't go without saying that this cabinet door that goes under the sink is broken off. And it was not like this when we moved in. The culprit, can you guess? I don't know if you'll guess, but it was my dad. He broke the cabinet door right off. Most of it is just like the edge portion, or like this part that goes down, that just kind of slid off, but this port did actually break. So I am going to be, it's still like, the hinges are still attached, so I'm just gonna do my best to glue it back together and hope that that holds. Again, because this is such a temporary makeover, and not really that big of a deal, but it was hilarious because I was trying to ask him to fix my garbage disposal, or not fix it, but figure out what's wrong. Well, it turns out it was just unplugged under there, but while he was under there, he made an actual problem, but luckily I was going to be making these over, so all the way back on Thanksgiving, but we will get this fixed and put back together. But that's the story behind that, so give my dad a hard time down in the comments. I went ahead and set myself up for success by labeling all of the pieces of tape ahead of time. That way I just have to grab it off, stick it on, and we'll be good to go. top doors are all off. So that took me about 20-25 minutes, not too bad. And now I'm gonna move on to the bottom drawers and doors. Got them all labeled. My method is definitely working out, keeping myself as organized as possible. That way when I go to put them all back on, it's gonna be a piece of cake. All of the cabinets are removed. That was a big job, but that is one thing checked off of the list. Everything is nice and organized in bags. My cabinets are all stacked up nice. Everything is nice and labeled, so I'll know exactly where to put it back. This is just a huge job in and of itself. I think I'm gonna call it a night here and just come back and start tackling the next steps tomorrow. I gotta clean, we gotta tape off some things, and then we'll get ready for that first coat of paint. It is time for day 2 of the kitchen cabinet makeover, and we are moving on to the cleaning portion. Beyond paint, like I said at the beginning, it doesn't require sanding or priming, but it does require you to give it a very, very good clean on all of the surfaces that you are going to be painting. And of course, pretty much any piece that you paint with any type of paint, you should clean your pieces first. So what I am going to be using is Simple Green, and Simple Green is the recommended cleaner that Beyond Paint recommends to clean. It's a degreaser, and it'll just really help get all of that yuck off of your cabinets. I am going to be taking one extra step in my cabinets that this is much needed. Mine have like these old bumpers, if you will, like they're the things that are supposed to help from knocking the cabinets together too hard. Well, mine are all melted on and super flat, not really doing their job anymore. First of all, I need to replace them or take them off because I need to paint where they are. And then second of all, I'm going to replace them because, like I said, these ones just are old. They're over 30 years old and they just need to be removed. So I have my heat gun just in case they're being a little bit difficult. But other than that, I am pretty much just going to be cleaning. I've got a sponge that is like a kind of a power scrubber just in case there's any grease or grime. You're gonna really wanna hit the cabinets that are above the stove area because that's where a lot of the grease goes up whenever you're cooking. So keep that in mind, but really all of the cabinets should be very, very squeaky clean. And I think I'm also going to do a rinse cycle after I do the Simple Green. That way I only have to like touch each cabinet one time. And so I'll do a round of Simple Green and then I'll do a round of rinse and then I'll set them over there to dry. With one of your kitchen cabinets, but just in case you do, all you need is basically some wood glue and some clamps, and we'll be able to put this thing back together. It was pretty much just broken on, like this whole side just kind of came off. There's a little bit of leftover wood, so I'm just gonna apply, first I'm gonna kind of dry fit it, making sure that it just slides right back in there together. And then I just like want to make sure that there's no other things that I need to do before I put actual glue on it. Everything is all cleaned, and then I even taped everything off as well, all of the walls and underneath the countertops as well as the appliances, so that I don't get paint on there. But since this paint does not require sanding or priming, we're ready to go after that really deep clean. I am going to be using Beyond Paint, like I said, and Beyond Paint is great for cabinets and furniture. I've used it on several furniture makeovers as well, but also they have a countertop kit, which I think is cool. I use that in my parents' bathroom, and it is held up really, really well. When you do the countertops, you can do a top coat, and it really gives it that satin feel, but it holds up a lot longer as well. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get going with the paint. I'm really excited. I'm gonna start on the boxes of everything, like the uppers and then the lowers. And so don't be alarmed when you put Beyond Paint into the furniture painting kit. It comes with a roller bin tray, and then it comes with a 3/8 inch nap roller, and it comes with a chip brush. And those are really the only three things that you need in order to paint successfully with Beyond Paint. But like I was saying, don't be alarmed if it comes out a little bit thick. It's meant to be thick like that, and it'll be totally okay once you start applying the paint. All right, are you ready for the big color reveal? I have chosen to go with the color Forest Green, and it is one of their deeper, darker greens, and I absolutely cannot wait to get green on my cabinets. I went back and forth with the color choice, but I'm so thrilled that I chose the Forest Green. It is really, really pretty. So I'm gonna go ahead and just dump some in, and then we're gonna start applying the paint. All right, so I've got my chip brush and I've got my roller. My roller is going to help me smooth everything out, but my chip brush is going to get into all of the spots that my roller can't get into. So generally you wanna start with your brush, like I said, and the roller will smooth everything out after that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get a little bit on my brush and start dabbling. You can get a ladder, obviously. I'm just gonna reach up there. And when you're using the brush, you kind of want to do like a stippling motion with this paint. It'll leave behind only the slightest texture, and it's really not going to be noticeable, but that does help it stay a bit more durable as well. So now that I've got that top portion done with the brush, I'm just gonna go in with my roller now. So coat number 1 has been drying for a while now. Really on the can, it says 2 to 4 hours and then you're good to go with coat number 2. Obviously with life, it may be a little bit longer than that. I've waited like over a day and I'm gonna go ahead and do coat number 2 on the boxes. I haven't tackled the doors and drawers yet, but you can really do it in whatever order helps you the most. I just thought that it would be best for me personally to get these finished up before then I kind of expand and get the doors and drawers going, because those are going to take a lot more surface area for dry time. But I'm gonna go ahead and do coat number 2. It's very simple and just pretty much like coat number 1. The only thing that you may want to do is if you find any textured areas, you could take a very, very fine sanding pad, like a 400 grit, and sand out any textured areas. I'm not seeing any textured areas on mine. Mine's coming out pretty smooth. Obviously it's gonna have the texture under it from the wood grain, but I'm totally okay with that. So I'm not gonna do any sanding in between coats, but if you want a very, very smooth, non-textured finish, that is totally an option as well. So let's get to coat number 2. So now that all the cabinet boxes are painted with a couple of coats, I am gonna move on to the drawers and the doors. I'm gonna start with the drawer fronts because I think that these are gonna be just a little bit easier. There's less of them and then it'll take up a little bit less room. But I'm just gonna be doing the same exact method that I've been doing. We're gonna roll it on, and then any areas that maybe my roller can't get, I'll go in with a chip brush and then smooth it all out with the roller. They need to dry for a couple of hours before I come back and do coat number 2. Finally, moving on to the doors. I waited till last because I just felt like I needed to spread out quite a bit with the door frames or the doors. I am going to be using some painter's pyramids to prop up the doors after I get them painted. These are really cool. You don't think that they would hold a lot of weight, but I've even used these on my furniture flips, put them under each of the 4 corners, and then it kind of just lifts it off the ground a little bit. And it's perfect for cabinet doors because you have to do both sides and then only like a tiny bit is touching on the pyramid versus laying it all the way down. So it'll especially be really nice when I start to do the opposite sides of the cabinets. But pretty much what I like to do is start with one of the cabinet doors, use my chip brush to start and get into all of the crevices, especially on these style doors, which I've done in the past. You want to really get in there and stipple around, get in those crevices quite a bit. Make sure that it's all nice and covered with paint. Going in that up and down motion. The one thing with the chip brushes is that you just want to be careful that you don't leave behind any of the bristles, because sometimes they can get in your paint. But just grab them out before your paint dries and you should be fine. Once you get that all painted like so, then you're gonna go back in with your roller, and then you're going to just smooth everything out. Make sure that the whole entire surface is covered. And as you've probably been noticing, that first coat goes on pretty light, but by the time you get that second coat done, it is looking much, much better. More like full coverage. And then in order to get the sides, which I like to do when I do the top portion, I will just take paint on my roller, hold up the piece or hold up the door like this, and then just get the sides like so. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and set down my painter's pyramids, get that lifted off the ground, set that down, and move on to the next cabinet door. It's gonna be a long one. I've got 25 cabinets to paint, and that was just the front side of one of them. So long way to go, but we're gonna knock it out. So this is coat 1. Now I'm gonna go back and do coat 2. Everything is looking nice and smooth, getting some pretty good coverage as well. That second coat should do the trick. I'm driving. I'm driving. So I'm expanding my workspace a little bit. I've got a little work partner here, Mr. Nosy Pants, and I brought a couple of tables in. So the one thing about kitchen cabinet painting is obviously you're gonna need a lot more surface area when they're laying flat than you do when they're like hanging up on your kitchen cabinets. And so a good maybe time to do it would be when it is nicer outside, so you can expand in the outdoors. But if you're doing it if you're doing it inside, you just maybe need a few tables. Maybe if you don't have cats or kids or dogs, you could do the floor. That would work as well. But I'm just putting them up on the tables, and again, using my painter's pyramids so that I'm able to get the edges too. And I started with the bottom cabinets, and those ones are pretty much finished as far as the fronts go, but of course they do still need to be painted on the back. The fronts are done, backs need to be painted, but I did want to get going on the top cabinets as well, so that's why I kind of decided let's move this along. The 2-hour wait time within the painting window is important. 2-hour wait time within the painting window is important, but I also want to like continue moving. So basically by the time you get one coat done on everything, you're good to go back and do a coat 2, especially if you have enough cabinets that'll take you like a couple hours to finish up. So I'm going to prop all these up, get coat 1 going, and then we'll be flipping over the bottom cabinet doors and doing the back sides of those as well. While the upper cabinets and some of the other ones are still drying a bit, I am gonna begin putting back on the hinges and getting some cabinet doors hung up. So that way I can just kind of eliminate the space that I'm taking up in the house. And I think we should be able to wrap it up either today or tomorrow, which I'm super excited about. I went ahead and washed all of the hinges. I did it off camera, but just know that you probably should go ahead and wash your hinges if you're gonna be reusing them, because chances are they've got some of that same goop and gunk that the cabinet doors had on them. So I just went some simple green, scrubbed it with a sponge, rinsed it off, and then they are dried out as well. So I kept the labels, like I put them back where the labels were. So that way I know exactly where I'm going to put them back. And I'm gonna use my same Fantic screwdriver. I'll link that down below. It's a really good tool to have laying around at home. I've been using it non-stop since we moved in. It's just gonna be a little bit of a tedious part, but everything's gonna start getting put back together. is time for all of the hardware to get put on. And I picked out this beautiful brass hardware. I think I'm gonna go for mixed metals in the whole house. I think a majority of them are gonna stay black, of hardwares, fixtures, things like that. But for this, since it's temporary, I want to see how it looks with the brass mixed with the black. We already had to switch out the kitchen faucet over here. It was major leaking on both the top and the bottom, and I got a black one, but I think that the brass will just pair well with the black. It matches the hinges that were already on there as well. So we're just gonna go with the flow and see how they all look. I'm really excited because this color has truly just brightened up this kitchen and made it look a lot more inviting in my opinion. All right, about 25 more to go. Let's get them on. All right, that's a wrap on the kitchen cabinet makeover in my new home. I could not be more pleased with the way that this turned out. Like, I knew that it was gonna be a big difference and that I was going to love it, but I love, love, love it. I was looking back at the before footage and it's just such a difference. It cooled everything down in here. It's just a lot brighter and like more inviting in my opinion. I love it. And the brass hardware paired with the green is really, really pretty. I love it. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I'm also curious to hear what your thoughts are on what I should do with the kitchen island. I decided not to touch it yet and kind of decide going forward, like, what do I want to do with it? Do I want to paint it green? Would that be too much green? Do I want to stay wood, but it does need a little bit of a refresh? So many options. So let me know what you guys think I should do with this. I think I want to keep the butcher block, maybe darken it up a bit, and then not so sure what I want to do on the bottom. I have a few more kitchen projects that I'm going to be tackling in the next couple of weeks, and of course bringing you along to show you what I've got in mind. So be sure and get subscribed down below if you're not already. Hit that bell notification so that you know exactly when I launch a video so you can be the first to see. But obviously I'm gonna be redoing this oak table as well. Clearly it is now a major sore thumb in this kitchen. And again, I need help. What do you think I should do with this kitchen table? Should we go green with it? Should we take it a different direction? Maybe some black? Definitely need to refinish the top. I'm open to all the options, so just give me all of your feedback down below in the comments. I love to hear your guys' ideas. It's so refreshing, and like I only have a one-track mind, so hearing everyone's suggestions is super fun and super helpful. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're interested in using Beyond Paint, whether it be for furniture flips or redoing your kitchen cabinets or your bathroom vanity cabinets, I will link everything down below in the description, and you can use my code FFT, I believe it is, and you can get a percentage off of your order. So I'll leave all the information linked down below in the description. Thank you all so much for watching. I will be back in just 2 weeks for another video. We'll see you on the flip side.